In this video, we're going to be talking about how to divide polynomials using long division. We have a couple of questions to solve, but before we start, guys, I want you to understand that the more you keep going, the more the difficulty level of the question also increases. So keep that in mind. Now let's go. Divide x squared plus 2x minus 15 by x plus 5 using long division. So because the question is saying we should use the long division method, I'm going to have to put the long division symbol right here like that. Okay, then these terms right here will be under the long division symbol. So I'm gonna have to write all of them here. We have x squared plus 2x minus 15. So this is what we have. Then these two terms will be on the outside. So we're gonna write them here. We have x plus 5. Now these two terms over here are known as divisor, and then these three terms over here are also known as the dividend. Then the answer that we're going to be getting right here is known as quotient, and possibly we can also get a remainder right here when we divide. Okay, so now that we know everything, we can just go ahead and then start. So let's go. Now what we are going to do is that we're going to be considering this first term right here, and we are going to divide it by this first term right here. So what is x squared divided by x? Well, it turns out that this is just x. Then we go ahead and then distribute this x. We take it, we multiply. We take it, we multiply. Remember, this number right here is never going to divide any one of these, right? So that is one thing that you have to keep in mind. So let's distribute. X times x is giving us x squared. Then x times 5 is giving us 5x. Then from here, we go ahead and then subtract. All right. So over here, this is what we are going to be doing. Now we are going to subtract the whole of this from this one. Remember, the 15 is not part. So let me go ahead and then put a line right here just to indicate that the 15 is not part. All right. So 2x minus 5x is giving us negative 3x. Then x squared minus x squared is giving us 0. So there's no need to put a 0 right here. It doesn't make sense, right? So this is what we have. Then we go ahead and then drop this 15 down. So the 15 will also come here like this. Then we also go ahead and divide. So let's go. What is negative 3x divided by x? Well, it turns out that the x will cancel. Then we'll be left with just negative 3. Then we go ahead and then distribute the negative 3 once again. So let's go. What is negative 3 times x? Well, this is going to be negative 3x. Then negative 3 times positive 5 is giving us negative 15. Then, of course, we go ahead and then subtract again. Negative 15 minus negative 15. So it turns out that this is negative 15 minus minus, which is automatically positive, right? So we're going to be getting negative 15 plus 15, which is 0. So obviously, we're going to be getting 0 right here, right? So let's keep going. Now, we have 0 right here. Then negative 3x minus 3x, that is also negative 3x plus 3x, which is also giving us 0. So that is it. Now, what is our answer right here? Our answer happens to be this. Now, this question right here is similar to the one that we just did. And like I said, the more we keep going, the more the difficulty level also increases. So let's go. As always, the numbers on the numerator side, or the terms on the numerator side, will be on the inside. So x squared plus 2x minus 8 will be right here. Then the denominator will also come here like that. Cool. So let's go. Now, what is x squared divided by x? Well, it turns out that this is going to be x. Then we distribute. Okay. We go ahead and then multiply. So x times x is giving us x squared. Then x times positive 4 is going to be positive 4x. Then from here, we go ahead and then subtract. So let's do the subtraction real quick. Remember, this 8 is not part, so I'm just going to put this line right here just to indicate that this 8 is not part of the terms we are subtracting, right? So we have positive 2x minus positive 4x. What do you think this is going to be? It's going to be negative 2x. Then x squared minus x squared is giving us 0. And there's no need to put a 0 right here, right? So let's keep going. This is what we have. And at this point, we have to go ahead and then drop this term right down here, which is negative 8. Then we go ahead and then divide again. Now, what is negative 2x divided by x? Well, this is going to be negative 2. Then we distribute again by multiplying. All right. So this is going to be negative 2 times x is giving us negative 2x. Then negative 2 times positive 4 is going to be negative 8. All right. Then we subtract. And this is going to give me, I think this is going to be 0, 0, because negative 8 minus 8 is 0. Then negative 2x minus 2x is going to be 0 as well. So it turns out that our answer to the problem is going to be x minus 2. And that is it. Now, how about this question right here? 6x squared minus 11x minus 11, all divided by 2x minus 5. You notice that this time we have coefficient right here. So how do we do this? Again, I'll put down the symbol for it like that. And of course, the numerator will come on the inside. So we have 6x squared minus 11x minus 11. Then we have 2x minus 5 right here. All right. So let's keep going. Now over here we have 6x squared divided by 2x. Now keep in mind, we have a coefficient right here. All the questions that we solved, the coefficient was just 1. And this time we have 6. So it's going to be 6 divided by 2, which is giving us 3. Then x squared divided by x, that is basically x. We go ahead and then distribute the 3x. We take it, we multiply. So what is 3x times 2x? This is going to be 6x squared. Then 3x times negative 5 is going to be negative 15x. Then we go ahead and then subtract like this. So this is what we have. Negative 11x minus 15x. This is going to be positive 4x. Then positive 6x squared minus 6x squared is going to be 0. Then over here, we go ahead and then drop the last term right down here, which is going to be negative 11. Then over here, let's keep going. Again, what is 4x divided by 2x? Now, this is going to be just positive 2. All right, because 2 times 2 is giving us 4. Then the x's will cancel, right? So this is what we have. Again, we go ahead and then distribute this positive 2. We take it, we multiply, just like we have been doing before. So 2 times 2x is giving us 4x. Then 2 times negative 5 is giving us negative 10. Then again, we go ahead and then subtract. This time we have negative 11 minus 10, which is giving us negative 1. Then 4x minus 4x is giving us 0. So what does that mean? It means that this is what is left, which is known as the remainder, okay? So we ask ourselves, what is negative 1 divided by 2x? Well, it turns out that you end up getting a fraction, and we don't want that. So it means that we are going to keep it this way and then keep this value as a remainder. Therefore, the whole of this divided by 2x minus 5 is giving us 3x plus 2 remainder negative 1. All right, so this is what we have, and this time around you notice that we have cubic expression on the numerator side. So in this case, again, the procedure is still the same. So I'm just going to put the division bar real quick like this, and as always, the numerator will be on the inside. So x squared minus 2x squared minus 5x plus 6. Then we have x minus 1 on the outside. Then we go again. So what is x cubed divided by x? So it turns out that this is going to be x squared. Then we go ahead and then distribute this x squared. X squared times x is giving us x cubed. Then x squared times negative 1 is going to be negative x squared. Then we go ahead and then subtract like this. So remember, these two terms are not part, so I just have to draw this line to let you know that these two terms are not part of the terms you are subtracting. Okay, so we have negative 2x squared minus x squared. So this is more or less like negative 2x squared plus x squared, which will give us negative x squared, right? So we're going to be getting negative x squared right here. Then we go ahead and then subtract x cubed minus x cubed, which is giving us 0, and there's no need to put down the 0. So this is what we have. And at this point, we are not going to drop all these two terms. We are just going to drop it one at a time. So I'm just going to drop the negative 5x. Then we keep going. Now, what is negative x squared divided by x? This is going to be negative x. Then we go ahead and then distribute. Negative x times x is giving us negative x squared. Then negative x times negative 1 is going to be positive x. So this is what we have. Then we go ahead and then subtract once again. Negative 5x minus x is going to be negative 6x. Then negative x squared minus x squared is going to be 0. So this is what we have. And from here, we have to go ahead and then drop the last term, which is positive 6. All right, so this is what we are getting right now. Then we go again. What is negative x divided by x? That is going to be negative 6. Then we go ahead and then multiply the negative 6 like we did before. So it's going to be negative 6 times x, which is giving us negative 6x. Then negative 6 times negative 1 is going to be positive 6. Then we go ahead and then subtract. 6 minus 6 is giving us 0. Then negative 6x minus 6x is also giving us 0. So in the end, this is what we are getting. And these terms right here, which is known as the quotient, is our answer. So this is going to be x squared minus x minus 6. And that is pretty much it. This is our next question, and it's more interesting than the ones that we've done so far, right? So here, again, I'm going to put down the division symbol real quick. Okay, so let's go. Now, what is 9m cubed divided by 3m? Well, 9 divided by 3 is going to be 3. Then m cubed divided by m is going to be m squared. Then from here, we go ahead and then distribute like we have been doing, right? So let's go. What is 3m squared times 3m? That is going to be 9m cubed. Then 3m squared times positive 4 is going to be positive 12m squared. Then we go ahead and then subtract, just as we have been doing. Again, I'm going to put a line right here just to let you know that these terms are not part. These two terms are not part real quick. So note that. Then let's go. So this is what we are going to be doing right now. What is 3m squared minus 12m squared? So this is going to be negative 15m squared. Then 9m cubed minus 9m cubed, that is giving us 0. Then from here, we just go ahead and then drop the next term right here. So it's going to be negative 26m. Then we ask ourselves again, what is negative 15m squared divided by 3m? Well, negative 15 divided by 3 is giving us negative 5. Then m squared divided by m is giving us m. So that means we are getting negative 5m. We go ahead and then distribute. Again, negative 5m times 3m is giving us negative 15m squared. Then negative 5m times positive 4 is going to be negative 20m. All right. Then from here, we subtract. So when we subtract, it's going to be negative 26m minus 20m. It's going to be just negative 6m, because this is more or less like 26m plus, negative 26m plus 20m. And this is giving us negative 6m. So keep in mind, this is what we are getting. Then from here, we have to go ahead and then drop this number right here. So I'm going to write the negative 8 down right here. Then we keep going again. What is negative 6m divided by 3m? Negative 6 divided by 3 is going to be negative 2. Then we go ahead and then divide m by m, which is giving us 1. So that means we're going to be getting this if we divide negative 6m by 3m. Then from here, we go ahead and then distribute the negative 2. All right. And this is going to be negative 2 times 3m is going to be negative 6m. Then negative 2 times positive 4 is going to be negative 8. Then we subtract. When you're subtracting, you have to be super careful. So we're going to have negative 8 minus 8, which is giving us 0, because negative 8 minus 8 basically means negative 8 plus 8, which is giving us 0. So keep in mind, we are left with negative 6m minus 6m. This is also giving us 0. So it means that these three terms you are seeing at the quotient side is the answer to the problem. Therefore, we're going to be getting the answer to be 3m squared minus 5m minus 2 when we divide the whole of this by this. And that is pretty much it. All right, so here is another interesting question. So let's keep going. What is 2x cubed divided by x? In other words, what times x will give me 2x cubed? This is going to be 2x squared, right? Then we go ahead and then multiply. So 2x squared times x is giving us 2x cubed. Then 2x squared times positive 3 is going to be positive 6x squared. Then from here, we subtract just as we have been doing, all right? These two terms are not part, so I'm just going to put a line here to let you know that they are not part. Then we're going to have negative x squared minus 6x squared. This is going to be negative 7x squared. Then 2x cubed minus 2x cubed will give us 0. Then we go ahead and then drop the next term down, which is negative 13x. Now, negative 7x squared divided by x is going to be negative 7x. Then we distribute. So over here, we're going to be getting negative 7x times x right here, which is giving us negative 7x squared. Then negative 7 times positive 3 is going to be negative 21x. Then from here, we also have to go ahead and then subtract. So when we are subtracting, it's going to be negative 13x minus 21, which is giving us positive 8x. Then negative 7x squared minus 7x squared is giving us 0. Then lastly, we drop the last term down, which is negative 6. What is 8x divided by x? This is going to be just positive 8. Then we distribute. Positive 8 times x is giving us 8x. Then 8 times positive 3 is going to be positive 24. Then we subtract right from here. So negative 6 minus 24 is going to be negative 30. Then 8x minus 8x is giving us 0. So it turns out that this right here is going to give us 2x squared minus 7x plus 8 when we divide this by that. And the remainder is going to be, so let me put r negative 30. That means the remainder is negative 30. This is our last question, and to be honest with you, it looks kind of scary, but it is super easy, right? So the procedures are the same, so I'm going to put down the division symbol like this real quick. So what is x cubed divided by x squared? That is easy, right? Just x. That's why I'm saying this question is super simple. Then we go ahead and then distribute the x, just as we have been doing right from the start. So we're going to have x times x squared is giving us x cubed. Then x times negative x is giving us negative x squared. Then x times negative 2 is giving us negative 2x. Now, when you are writing, always ensure that the answers are in line with the terms. Okay, so let's go. Then from here, we go ahead and then subtract. And when we are subtracting, remember the last term is not part. So I'll just put a line here just to let you know that this 6 is not part. So from here, we have negative 5x minus 2x is giving us negative 3x. Then 2x squared minus x squared is giving us positive 3x squared. Then x squared minus x squared is giving us 0. So this is what we have. Now, because we have 3 terms as divisor, I'll just go ahead and then drop this last term right here so that I also have 3 terms. Very important. So this is what we have. And from here, again, what is 3x squared divided by x squared? Well, this is going to be just positive 3. Then we go ahead and then distribute the positive 3 just as we have been doing. So here we have 3 times x squared, which is giving us 3x squared. 3 times negative x is giving us negative 3x. Then 3 times negative 2 is giving us negative 6. Then we go ahead and then subtract. So here we're going to be having this right here. Negative 6 minus 6 means that we are talking about negative 6 plus 6, which is giving us 0. So you're going to be getting 0 right here. Then negative 3x minus 3x is also 0. Then we have 3x squared minus 3x squared, which is also 0. So you see, this is super simple. So at the end of it all, we are getting x plus 3 as our answer. X plus 3 right here. And so guys, that is it for this video. I hope and believe that you found the video useful. Please give it a like, share to your friends, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you again on the next video. Thanks a lot for watching as always. Bye.